Good evening. I'm delighted you could join us for this evening's entertainment, a tale of water, rather too much of it, as it turns out. Before we begin, a few disclaimers. The voices you're about to hear are entirely artificial, synthesized, generated by machine. But rest assured, the story itself was directed, written, and assembled by a human being, someone with far too much time to contemplate what happens when the sky won't stop weeping. Any resemblance to persons living or dead is purely coincidental, though if you do happen to know someone named Jack Anheuser or Dr. Norman Silberman, I'd advise them to invest in a good umbrella and perhaps a boat. Now then, shall we begin? I do hope you're sitting somewhere dry. Enjoy the show.
This is Sarah Ashcroft with KNBC News Radio, bringing you your weather first forecast for the week. And folks, we are tracking a significant weather event that's going to impact much of the West Coast over the next several days. A powerful atmospheric river is moving inland from the Pacific, and it's bringing with it a deep low-pressure system that's going to stall out right along the coast. We're looking at a persistent pattern here. This system is not moving quickly. Current models show it lingering through at least Friday, possibly into the weekend. Rain begins moving into the Pacific Northwest late tonight, with heavy precipitation expected across Washington and Oregon by Tuesday morning. Northern California sees the system move in by midday Tuesday, spreading south through the Bay Area and Central Coast by Tuesday evening. Southern California, you'll start seeing rain by Wednesday morning. Precipitation totals are going to be substantial. We're forecasting 3 to 6 inches across much of the coastal region, with localized amounts potentially exceeding 8 inches in areas with orographic lift. The Cascades, the Olympics, the coastal ranges, those areas could see double-digit rainfall totals by the time this clears out. The National Weather Service has issued flood watches for coastal counties from British Columbia down through central California. Urban and small stream flooding is likely, particularly in areas with poor drainage. We're also looking at elevated river levels on the Columbia, the Willamette, and several tributaries throughout the region. Winds are going to be a factor as well. We're expecting sustained winds of 20 to 30 miles per hour along the coast, with gusts up to 50 in exposed areas. Inland valleys will see lighter winds, but still breezy conditions throughout the week. If you have travel plans this week, you're going to want to build in extra time. Visibility will be reduced, roadways will be wet, hydroplaning is a concern on highways, and if you're in flood-prone areas, please have a plan. Know your evacuation routes, don't drive through standing water. The good news? We do see a break in the pattern by early next week. High pressure builds back in, and we should get some clearing by Monday or Tuesday. But between now and then, this is going to be a washout, so make your plans accordingly. That was your Weather First forecast for the week. I'm Sarah Ashcroft with KNBC News Radio. Stay dry out there, everyone.
This is Isaiah, and you're listening to the Watchtower. The rain has not stopped for 7 days, and I need to tell you why. It's been raining for 7 days. The news is calling it a persistent weather pattern, a low-pressure system that stalled out over the Pacific. They're telling you it'll clear up tomorrow, maybe the day after. They're wrong. 3 weeks ago, I had a vision. I know how that sounds. I know some of you are rolling your eyes right now, but I'm telling you what I saw. Rain, endless rain, not for days, not for weeks, for months, maybe longer. I saw cities underwater. I saw people fleeing to the mountains. I saw a world that doesn't look like the one we're living in right now. And I was told to warn you, to prepare you, to tell you that what's coming is not natural, it's biblical. I don't claim to be a prophet, I'm just someone who was given information, and I'm doing what I can with it. If you're listening to this and you live on the coast or in a low-lying area, please consider moving to higher ground. Stock up on supplies. Make plans. Don't wait for the government to tell you what to do. I know a lot of you think I'm crazy. That's fine. You don't have to believe me. But in a few weeks, when the rain still hasn't stopped, when the flooding gets worse, when they start issuing evacuations, remember this episode. Remember that someone tried to warn you. This is Isaiah, day 7. The rain continues. And I'm telling you, it's not going to stop. Stay safe out there and get to higher ground. This is the Watchtower. This is Isaiah. Stay vigilant and get to higher ground.
Good morning. I'm Jack Anheuser, and this is the Morning Edition. We begin today with weather across the nation. Meteorologists are tracking a large low-pressure system that is stalled over the Pacific Ocean. The system has remained nearly stationary for the past 11 days, bringing persistent rainfall to coastal regions from California to British Columbia and across parts of Japan, the Philippines, and New Zealand. The National Weather Service is calling the pattern unusual but not alarming. Rainfall totals vary by location, with Seattle and Portland seeing the wettest conditions. Forecasters say the system should begin to weaken and move eastward by the weekend. In Seattle this morning, our own Laura Helmsley has been following a story from the waterfront. Laura, what can you tell us?
Jack, I'm here at Terminal 46, where dock workers have been complaining for the past 2 weeks about a strong sulfur smell in the air near the harbor. Some of them describe it as rotten eggs. Others say it's more like industrial chemicals. The city's Department of Public Works investigated last week and attributed the odor to a drainage issue in the older sewer lines beneath the docks. They've scheduled maintenance crews to flush the system starting next Monday. Workers I spoke with this morning say the smell comes and goes, and it's strongest in the early hours before sunrise. The city insists there's no health risk, but several dock workers have asked to be reassigned to other terminals until the issue is resolved. Laura Helmsley, Seattle Waterfront.
Thank you, Laura. In Science News this morning, the United States Geological Survey has released new monitoring data from the Pacific seafloor. The agency reports elevated seismic tremor activity along what's known as the Wrangellia terrain boundary, a geological formation stretching from Alaska down through the Pacific Northwest. The USGS says the tremors are consistent with what they're calling anomalous thermal signatures in deep-seated magmatic reservoirs. The data comes from routine ocean floor monitoring, and researchers say there's no cause for public concern. The full report is available on the agency's website for anyone interested in the technical details. Turning to business, several commercial fishing fleets operating in the North Pacific have reported higher than usual mercury levels in recent deep-water catches. The findings were flagged during routine testing by processors in Alaska and Oregon. The Food and Drug Administration reviewed the data and says all levels remain within acceptable ranges for human consumption. FDA officials note that mercury concentrations in Pacific fish can vary seasonally and are influenced by ocean temperature and current patterns. No recalls have been issued, and the agency says consumers can continue to enjoy seafood as part of a healthy diet. And finally this morning, some lighter news from the world of sports. The Seattle Seahawks are dealing with an unusual problem at their home stadium. For the third consecutive week, the field has been waterlogged despite relatively normal rainfall for this time of year. Groundskeepers blame the issue on an aging drainage system beneath the turf, which was installed when the stadium opened back in 2002. The team's head groundskeeper joked with reporters yesterday, saying if this keeps up, the 12th man might need to learn how to swim. The Seahawks have postponed 2 home games this month due to field conditions. Both games will now be played at the Arizona Cardinals Stadium in Glendale, while engineers work on a more permanent solution. No word yet on whether season ticket holders will be issued flotation devices for the return trip to Seattle. That's your morning edition for Tuesday, October 8th. I'm Jack Anheuser. We'll see you tonight at 6.
This is Charlie Dalton, and you're listening to another episode. I've got to be honest with you. This one's a little different. I'm joined today by Dr. Paul Chapman, and we're going to be talking about what's happening with the rain. I think a lot of you have been asking the same questions I have. Dr. Chapman, thanks for being here.
Yeah. What'd you see?
So there was this, 30-second science piece about the USGS logging some seismic stuff on the Pacific seafloor. And I pulled up the actual press release because I'm a nerd, and I cannot make heads or tails of it. It's like they're speaking a different language.
Oh, man. Yeah, government geology reports are the worst.
Okay, let me pull it up here. Quote, elevated tremor activity detected along the Wrangellia terrain boundary consistent with anomalous thermal signatures in deep-seated magmatic reservoirs. End quote. And then they just, move on to the next thing.
Wrangellia. Okay, so that's actually kind of interesting. I watched a documentary about this, 2 months ago.
All right, break it down for me. What's Wrangellia?
So it's this huge chunk of volcanic rock on the ocean floor. It's what they call a large igneous province, or a LLIP. Basically, millions of years ago, there was this absolutely massive volcanic event under the Pacific. Not a single volcano, but an entire region of the seafloor just erupting over and over for, thousands of years maybe.
Wait, so this isn't like Yellowstone or Mount St. Helens. This is underwater.
Exactly. It's submarine volcanism. And the scale is, hard to even comprehend. When these things go off, they dump absolutely insane amounts of carbon dioxide and sulfur into the ocean and atmosphere. We're talking enough to change the entire planet's climate.
Okay, but Wrangellia is what? Millions of years old, right? So why is the USGS putting out press releases about it now?
Well, that's the thing. These LIPs aren't, dead. They're still down there, still geologically active in some ways. The documentary I watched said some of them can have what they call residual magmatic activity for, geologic timescales. So if they're detecting tremors, it probably just means there's some movement in the deep magma chambers. Totally normal monitoring stuff.
But not dangerous.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, these things erupt on timescales of tens of millions of years. The chances of one going off in our lifetime, or even in, the next 100,000 years, basically zero. It's just interesting from a research perspective.
So the press release is basically the USGS saying, hey, we logged some data, and it's probably nothing, but here's a report anyway because that's our job.
Pretty much. I love that they threw in thermal signatures in deep-seated magmatic reservoirs. Anyone reading that is going to know what it means.
Right? It's like they're daring you to ask a follow-up question. All right. Well, thanks for clearing that up. I feel slightly less dumb now.
Anytime. Geology is wild when you get into it.
Good evening. I'm Jack Anheuser. Tonight, we're tracking a developing weather situation that has coastal communities from Texas to the Pacific Northwest underwater. The persistent rain that began 2 weeks ago has escalated into flooding across multiple cities tonight. Houston, Miami, Charleston, and Portland are all dealing with rising water. Internationally, coastal areas of the United Kingdom, Japan, and Bangladesh are reporting similar conditions. Local officials in each city are treating this as a manageable seasonal event. Emergency response teams have been deployed, and temporary shelters are being opened in affected areas. We go now to Houston, where Laura Helmsley is standing by.
Jack, I'm in the Meyerland neighborhood, about 8 miles southwest of downtown Houston. The water here is knee-deep in some streets, waist-deep in others. Behind me, you can see crews working to pump water away from residential blocks, but the rain just keeps coming down. The Harris County Emergency Management Office says roughly 400 families have been displaced so far. Most are staying with relatives or in Red Cross shelters set up at local schools. I spoke earlier with a woman who's lived in this neighborhood for 40 years. She told me she's seen floods before, plenty of them, but nothing like this. Her exact words were, "It doesn't stop. We get a break for an hour, maybe 2, and then it starts again, day after day." City officials here say the drainage systems are handling the volume, but they're running near capacity. They're asking residents in low-lying areas to consider staying elsewhere until conditions improve. Laura Helmsley, reporting from Houston. Back to you.
Laura, thank you. In a related development, scientists at the National Atmospheric Research Center in Boulder, Colorado, have flagged what they're calling a data irregularity in recent carbon dioxide readings from monitoring stations across the Pacific Basin. The center's director released a brief statement this afternoon saying the readings show an unexpected pattern, but researchers need more time to analyze the data before drawing conclusions. The statement emphasized that atmospheric monitoring often reveals short-term fluctuations that resolve on their own. Separately, a cargo ship captain operating in the North Pacific filed a formal report with the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration describing unusual ocean conditions. The captain noted significant surface temperature variations and visible discoloration in the water over a roughly 200-mile stretch west of Vancouver Island. NOAA confirmed receiving the report and says marine scientists are investigating. The agency noted that ocean surface conditions can vary due to upwelling currents, seasonal algae blooms, and other natural phenomena. And finally this morning, some troubling news from the world of sports. The Seattle Seahawks and San Francisco 49ers are both dealing with severe flooding at their home stadiums. Both facilities are now reporting extensive standing water covering large portions of the playing surfaces despite ongoing drainage efforts. Stadium engineers are attributing the flooding to the persistent rainfall that has affected the Pacific Northwest for the past several weeks. Overwhelming drainage systems that were designed for normal seasonal conditions. The NFL is now facing a major scheduling headache. The league has been forced to coordinate alternative playing locations for both teams. The Seahawks will play at the Arizona Cardinals Stadium when it's not a Cardinals home game, while the 49ers have been relocated to SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, which officials note is a dome and less susceptible to weather-related issues. But let's be honest, SoFi is basically a home game for the 49ers anyway. Fans of the 49ers refer to it as Levi's South. Meanwhile, reports of that sulfur smell from the Seattle waterfront that we covered last week. Similar complaints are now coming in from docks in San Francisco and Vancouver. In each case, local authorities are attributing the odor to aging infrastructure. We'll continue to follow all these developments as they unfold. For now, forecasters say the rain should taper off by midweek. We'll see if that holds true. That's the evening edition for Tuesday, October 22nd. I'm Jack Anheuser. Stay dry out there.
Folks, we need to talk about what's really happening here. You're watching the news. You're seeing Houston underwater, Miami underwater, 7 cities flooded across 4 continents. And what are they telling you? Climate change, natural disaster, act of God. No, no. This is the Great Reset, people. This is the New World Order's mass depopulation project, and they're using weather machines to do it. Wake up. They want you dependent. They want you begging. A flooded population is a controlled population. You lose your home. You lose your job. You lose everything you own. And then what? Then you accept whatever they offer. Then you get on their list. Then you go where they tell you to go. And oh, by the way, have you noticed who's showing up to give you the good news about salvation? Prophet Isaiah. They're calling him Prophet Isaiah. How stupid do they think we are? Isaiah, like the Bible. This is psychological conditioning. Folks, this guy is a government agent reading from a script, and they gave him a prophet's name so you'd trust him. Weather machines. They've had weather modification technology for decades. HAARP, cloud seeding, atmospheric manipulation. You think it's a coincidence that rain is falling in 7 cities at once? That it won't stop? That entire coastlines are being swallowed. They're engineering this. They're creating persistent atmospheric systems with technology they tell you doesn't exist. And why? Because they need you scared. They need you helpless. They need you ready to accept the New World Order. And here's the thing that makes me sick. They want you to trust them. The same government that told you Epstein hanged himself. The same government that put chemicals in the water and turned the frogs gay. The same people who lie to you about everything, every single day, now they're asking you to believe this is natural. No, this is engineered. This is deliberate. This is biblical level manipulation. And you know what the worst part is? These people are being controlled by a demonic force that is actively trying to make you think God is going back on his promise. Genesis chapter 9, the rainbow. God said he would never flood the earth again. And now they're flooding it, and they want you to think God lied. They want you to lose faith. They want you to think the covenant is broken. These people are evil. They are servants of darkness trying to destroy your relationship with God himself. Don't fall for it. Don't trust Prophet Isaiah. Don't trust the people telling you this is natural. This is the Great Reset in action. This is depopulation. This is control. And I'm not going to stop saying it until everyone knows the truth. This is Emmett Karpov. Share this before they take it down, because they don't want you asking questions. They want you drowning.
Good evening. I'm Jack Anheuser, and tonight we begin with a development from the National Weather Service that demands your attention. After 3 weeks of continuous precipitation across coastal regions, meteorologists have confirmed something remarkable. The rainfall totals we're seeing are now in the top 1% of all recorded weather events in history, not in one location, in 7 simultaneous regions spanning 4 continents. The Weather Service's chief forecaster told reporters this afternoon that under normal atmospheric modeling, what we're observing should be statistically impossible. Those were his exact words, statistically impossible. To help us understand what might be driving this, we're joined tonight by Dr. Adrian Dreyer. He's a senior research volcanologist and geochemist with the National Institute for Geological Sciences. Dr. Dreyer, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Jack.
We've been reporting for several weeks now on seismic activity along the Pacific seafloor. Is there any connection between what you're seeing in your field and what meteorologists are tracking in the atmosphere?
There is a connection, yes. The Wrangellia terrain, which I believe your viewers heard mentioned in a recent USGS release, is what we call a large igneous province. These are geological features that have historically been associated with significant atmospheric events.
When you say historically, what kind of time frame are we talking about?
Geological time, millions of years. The Wrangellia province itself formed during the Triassic period, roughly 230 million years ago. At that time, volcanic activity from this formation released enormous quantities of carbon dioxide and sulfur compounds into the ocean and atmosphere.
and you're detecting signs of that kind of activity now.
We're detecting signatures consistent with renewed thermal activity in deep-seated magmatic reservoirs beneath the seafloor. Additionally, atmospheric monitoring stations across the Pacific Basin are recording what's called a negative carbon isotope excursion. That's a specific chemical fingerprint we associate with volcanic outgassing.
Is this related to climate change? To human activity?
That's a complicated question. What we're observing is geologic in origin. It would be happening regardless of human industrial activity. The scale of what a large igneous province can release far exceeds anything human civilization is capable of producing.
Dr. Dreyer, should people be concerned?
People should pay attention to official guidance from emergency management authorities. The federal government has resources and contingency planning in place for events of this nature. I would encourage anyone in coastal regions to stay informed.
Dr. Adrian Dreyer, thank you for your time and expertise.
Thank you, Jack.
And speaking of official guidance, the federal government issued its first voluntary evacuation advisories this afternoon. 12 coastal cities across the United States are now under advisory status, including Houston, Miami, Charleston, and Seattle. The language in these advisories is careful. They're calling it a precautionary measure based on forecast for continued heavy rainfall over the next 2 weeks. Residents in low-lying areas are being asked to consider relocating to higher ground temporarily. Laura Helmsley spoke earlier today with the logistics coordinator from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Laura, what did you learn?
Jack, I sat down with the regional director for FEMA's Disaster Response Division. I asked him what federal resources are being positioned and where. He told me that personnel and equipment are on standby, but he wouldn't specify for what. When I pressed him on whether FEMA is preparing for something beyond standard flood response, he repeated the same phrase 3 times. Federal resources are being coordinated in accordance with established continuity frameworks. I don't know what that means, Jack. And I got the sense he wasn't authorized to tell me. Laura Helmsley, reporting from Washington, back to you.
We'll continue following that story. For anyone in the affected coastal zones, full details on the evacuation advisories are available at your local emergency management website. That's our broadcast for Tuesday, October 29th. I'm Jack Anheuser. Stay informed and stay safe.
Church, somebody say amen. Now I know some of you are sitting there this morning and you're thinking about Genesis chapter 7. You're thinking about 40 days and 40 nights. You're thinking about the rain. And I'm here to tell you, yes, we're going to talk about it, but not the way you think. See, the first thing people want to do when the rain starts falling is they want to talk about judgment. They want to talk about punishment. They want to say, God is mad at us. God is teaching us a lesson. No, that is not the God I serve. Because if you really read Genesis chapter 8, verse 21, you'll see that God made a covenant. He said, never again will I destroy all living creatures and he put a rainbow in the sky, not as decoration, but as a promise. So when I look at what's happening right now, when I see the water rising, when I hear the forecasters on the television, when I watch you come in here with worry written all over your faces, I don't see punishment. I see a test, not a test from God. A test. Will we love each other? Will we help each other? Will we be the church when the church is needed most? I'm not going to stand up here and tell you everything is fine. Some of you spent last night moving your belongings to higher ground. Some of you are wondering how much more you can take. Some of you are scared. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. That fear is real. That exhaustion is real. And I'm not going to diminish it by telling you to just pray harder and it'll all work out. But I am going to tell you this. Look to your left. Look to your right. Those people sitting next to you, that's your foundation. That's your strength. That's your army. Because Matthew 7:24 through 27 tells us about the wise man who built his house upon the rock. And when the rain came down, when the streams rose up, when the winds beat against that house, it did not fall. Why didn't it fall? Because it had its foundation on the rock. And church, I'm here to tell you, our foundation is not bricks. Our foundation is not money. Our foundation is not the government coming to save us. Our foundation is love. Our foundation is community. Our foundation is the faith that tells us we are stronger together than we ever could be alone. So when you walk out of here today, and you will walk out of here, because we're not done yet, I want you to do something for me. Check on your neighbor. Call that family member you've been meaning to call. Share what you have. Help somebody carry what they cannot carry alone. Because that is what it means to build on the rock. Psalm 91 tells us, he who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress. But that shelter is not just a building. That shelter is not just a place. That shelter is a people. That shelter is us. We are going to make it through this. Not because the rain is stopping tomorrow. I can't promise you that. Not because everything is going to be easy. It won't be. But because we have each other. Because we have our faith. Because we have a God who keeps his promises. We will endure. Somebody say amen. God bless you. God keep you. And may his love sustain every single one of you. Amen.
Good evening. I'm Jack Anheuser, and we begin tonight with a development that changes everything we thought we understood about what's happening. 4 independent international research teams have now confirmed the same conclusion. The Wrangellia large igneous province beneath the Pacific Ocean has reactivated, and the implications of that reactivation are, in the words of one scientist, unlike anything humanity has experienced in recorded history. Dr. Adrian Dreyer joins us again tonight. Dr. Dreyer, 2 weeks ago you told us about thermal signatures and carbon isotope readings. Tonight, what can you tell us?
Jack, the data we've collected over the past month leaves very little room for alternative interpretation. What we're witnessing is massive outgassing of carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide from submarine volcanic activity across the Wrangellia terrain. The scale is extraordinary.
And this is causing the rain.
It's more complex than that. The volcanic emissions are heating the atmosphere and destabilizing atmospheric circulation patterns. This creates intense evaporation across ocean surfaces, which generates precipitation on a scale that exceeds the capacity of normal weather systems to dissipate. What we're observing has a geological precedent. It's called the Carnian pluvial episode.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?
The Carnian pluvial episode. It occurred approximately 234 million years ago during the Triassic period. The Wrangellia large igneous province erupted over a span of roughly 400,000 years. The atmospheric disruption that followed lasted approximately 2 million years.
2 million years.
That's the duration recorded in the geological record. Yes. I should clarify that modern conditions may differ. We have different ocean chemistry, different continental configurations, different baseline atmospheric composition, but the mechanism is the same.
When you say the mechanism is the same, what does that mean for us? Practically?
It means the rain will continue. The CO2 levels we're measuring are still rising. The ocean surface temperatures are still climbing. The atmospheric moisture content is still increasing. None of these trends show signs of reversal.
Dr. Dreyer, thank you for your time. Earlier today, the White House released a statement through its Office of Emergency Coordination. Greg Spano read that statement to the press this afternoon. We have that recording.
The federal government is engaged in ongoing monitoring and coordination with international partners regarding atmospheric and geological developments in the Pacific Basin. All relevant agencies are operating within established continuity frameworks. The public will be kept informed through appropriate channels as the situation develops. I will not be taking questions at this time.
That was the complete statement. No questions were permitted. And I need to address something that occurred during Dr. Dreyer's interview a few moments ago. Our graphics team displayed a chart showing CO2 concentration trends. That chart briefly showed a document watermark in the lower right corner. The watermark read, NOAH division, restricted. We are looking into how that document entered our graphics library. We do not know what NOAH division refers to. We have reached out to federal agencies for clarification. As of this broadcast, we have not received a response. We'll continue following that story, and we'll continue covering these developments as they unfold. That's the broadcast for Tuesday, November 5th. I'm Jack Anheuser. Good night.
This is Charlie Dalton. You're listening to another episode, and I've got to be honest, this one's a little different. I'm talking with Dr. Paul Chapman today about what's happening with the rain, and I think a lot of you have been asking the same questions I have. Dr. Chapman, I appreciate you taking the time.
The Carnian pluvial episode was a fundamental reorganization of Earth's climate system. What Dr. Dreyer described tonight is accurate, but I want to walk through the mechanism so people understand why this is so difficult to reverse. The Wrangellia large igneous province is releasing massive amounts of greenhouse gases into the ocean and atmosphere: carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, methane from warming seafloor deposits. This heats the lower atmosphere and the ocean surface. Warmer air holds more moisture. Warmer oceans evaporate faster.
So more evaporation means more rain.
More than that, the rain creates cloud cover, persistent cloud cover, and once that cloud cover becomes thick enough, continuous enough, it triggers something we call the white sky effect.
I've never heard that term.
It's not widely known outside paleoclimatology. Here's what happens. Dense cloud cover blocks solar radiation from reaching the surface. This means sunlight can't heat the ground and interrupt the evaporation cycle. But the lower atmosphere is still hot from volcanic emissions. The ocean is still warm, so evaporation continues. The system becomes self-sustaining. Rain produces clouds. Clouds block sun. No sun means no natural interruption to the water cycle. More evaporation, more rain, more clouds. It feeds itself.
And once that starts, how do you stop it?
You don't. Not on any human time scale. The volcanic emissions have to stop first. Then the atmosphere has to cool. Then the ocean has to cool. Then the moisture has to dissipate. That process takes, conservatively, decades. More realistically, centuries.
Dr. Chapman, I need to ask you something. The federal government issued voluntary evacuation advisories 2 weeks ago. Is that sufficient?
No.
What should people do?
If you're in a coastal region, or a low elevation river valley, or anywhere below, I'd say 500 meters, you need to move. Not next week. Not when the government makes it mandatory. Now, find higher ground. Find a place with elevation and infrastructure, and do not wait for official instructions. The window for orderly movement is closing faster than anyone in government is willing to say publicly.
You're saying this on the record. You understand people are listening to this.
I do. And I'm saying it anyway. Because if the white sky effect is establishing itself, and all the data suggests it is, then we are not looking at a weather emergency. We're looking at a planetary shift. And planetary shifts don't care about evacuation timelines.
Dr. Paul Chapman, thank you for your honesty. Stay safe.
You too, Charlie.
Good evening. Widespread flooding is now affecting multiple regions across the United States. 4 weeks of continuous rainfall have overwhelmed drainage systems and pushed rivers beyond flood stage in more than 30 counties. We begin tonight with the scope of the crisis. The Gulf Coast is experiencing significant inundation. New Orleans has reported water levels in the lower 9th Ward reaching 4 feet in some areas. Mobile Bay has risen 3 feet above normal high tide. Galveston Island is reporting extensive street flooding across the eastern half of the city. The Atlantic seaboard is facing similar conditions. Charleston, Savannah, Jacksonville, and Norfolk have all reported water levels exceeding previous flood records. In some coastal neighborhoods, flooding has persisted for more than 48 hours without receding. The Pacific coast is also experiencing elevated water levels. Low-lying areas of Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, and Los Angeles have reported street flooding and overwhelmed storm drains. Several coastal highways have been closed due to standing water. Laura Helmsley is reporting from Charleston, South Carolina, where flooding has affected the historic downtown district. Laura, what are conditions there?
Jack, I'm standing on East Bay Street near the waterfront. The water behind me is approximately 2 feet deep and covers the entire width of this street. This area typically floods during king tides and heavy storms, but what we're seeing now is different. The water arrived 3 days ago and has not receded. The Battery, which is one of Charleston's most iconic waterfront areas, is completely submerged. White Point Garden is underwater. The seawall has been overtopped. Residents in the French Quarter and along the peninsula have been moving belongings to upper floors. I spoke with a city official this afternoon who told me the combined effects of persistent rainfall, high tide, and what they're calling anomalous sea level rise are creating conditions they've never documented before. Pumping stations are running continuously but cannot keep pace with the incoming water. Several barrier islands south of the city have reported extensive flooding. Folly Beach has water covering coastal roads. Sullivan's Island has seen erosion and overwash. Access to some island communities has been restricted due to flooding on causeways and bridges. The Ashley and Cooper rivers, which frame the Charleston Peninsula, are both above flood stage. The National Weather Service has issued flood warnings for coastal South Carolina and Georgia that extend through the end of the week. But with rain continuing and no clear forecast for when it will stop, many residents are questioning whether a week is a realistic timeline. Laura Helmsley, Charleston.
River flooding is also affecting inland areas. The Mississippi River is above flood stage from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. The Columbia River in the Pacific Northwest has exceeded flood stage at multiple monitoring stations. The Hudson River has caused street flooding in lower Manhattan for the first time in recorded history outside of hurricane events. FEMA has deployed personnel to affected regions and is coordinating with state emergency management agencies. The National Guard has been activated in 7 states to assist with flood response and potential evacuations. The White House released a statement this afternoon saying the administration is monitoring the situation closely and coordinating federal resources. The statement did not address questions about whether mandatory evacuations are being considered for coastal populations. That's the broadcast for Thursday, November 7th. I'm Jack Anheuser. For those in affected areas, please monitor local emergency communications and follow guidance from authorities. Good evening. At 6:03 this morning, the federal government issued the first national mandatory evacuation order in United States history. All coastal zones and river floodplains below 500 meters elevation are now under mandatory evacuation status. 22 cities are affected. The estimated population impact is 40 million Americans in the first wave. I'm going to read you the list. New York City, Miami, Houston, New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, San Diego, Boston, Baltimore, Charleston, Savannah, Mobile, Norfolk, Tampa, Jacksonville, Long Beach, Oakland, Tacoma, Baton Rouge, Galveston. Amy Evans is the Deputy Administrator for the Federal Emergency Management Agency. She spoke to the press this afternoon. Amy Evans, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Jack.
40 million people in the first wave. Where are they being directed to go?
Federal coordination sites are being established in accordance with elevation and infrastructure capacity assessments Residents should monitor local emergency management channels for designated intake locations. Transportation assistance is available on a space-available basis for individuals unable to relocate independently.
Space-available basis. What happens to people who can't evacuate in time?
Intake will continue on a space-available basis as resources permit. Federal agencies are coordinating with state and local partners to maximize throughput capacity within operational constraints.
That doesn't answer my question.
I understand your concern, Jack. What I can tell you is that all available federal resources are being mobilized in accordance with established continuity frameworks. This is an evolving situation, and our response will adapt as conditions develop.
Amy Evans, thank you for your time. Laura Helmsley is on Interstate 75 outside Atlanta. Laura, what are you seeing?
Jack, I'm standing on the shoulder of the northbound lanes. It's bumper to bumper as far as I can see in both directions. And I mean both. Southbound traffic is just as bad. People are trying to leave. People are trying to get home to family. Nobody's moving. It's been raining for 5 weeks straight now. The pavement is wet. Visibility is maybe 100 yards. I've seen people get out of their cars just to stretch because they've been sitting here for hours. Jack, we're getting a call on the tip line. The caller says he's a retired USGS geologist and he wants to go on air. Should I take it?
Put him through.
You're on the air. Can you state your name?
My name is Norman Silberman. I'm a retired geologist with the United States Geological Survey. I worked in the Pacific Marine Geology Division for 32 years.
Dr. Silberman, what did you want to tell us?
In 2009, I led a survey of the Wrangellia terrain. We were mapping thermal gradient anomalies across the formation. What we found was evidence of renewed magmatic activity in deep-seated chambers beneath the seafloor. I filed my findings with the survey in October of that year. In November, my findings were reclassified. I was contacted by an organization I had never heard of, the National Office of Advanced Habitation, but we called it NOAA. They told me my work was being incorporated into a continuity planning framework. They thanked me for my service, and then they told me not to discuss my findings publicly.
You're saying the government has known about this risk for 15 years?
At least. I don't know what they did with my findings. I don't know if they acted on them, but they knew. They've known for a very long time.
Dr. Silberman, thank you for calling. We'll be following up on this. That's our broadcast for Tuesday, November 12th. I'm Jack Anheuser. If you're evacuating, be safe. If you're staying, God be with you.
This is Isaiah, and you're listening to the Watchtower. Day 32. God showed me this would happen, and now it has. On day 7, I told you what the Lord revealed to me. I told you the rain would not stop. I told you the waters would rise. I told you to flee to the mountains. Some of you believed. Most of you did not. And now the unbelievers are drowning. God showed me cities underwater. He showed me millions fleeing. He showed me the faithful reaching high ground while the doubters perished in the valleys. Everything he revealed is coming to pass. Every vision, every prophecy. The Lord does not lie. Your government tells you this is manageable. They tell you the rain will stop tomorrow. They are servants of deception. They cannot save you. Only God can save you. And he has already shown you the way. Go up, leave the low places, abandon the cities of man. I was given this knowledge so I could warn you. Not everyone will be saved. God has not chosen everyone, but those who hear his voice through me, those who believe, Those who act on faith, you still have time, but the window is closing. This is the Watchtower. This is Isaiah. The Lord showed me what is coming, and I am showing you, believe or perish.
We interrupt this broadcast for a special address from President Thomas Hiller. We go now live to the White House.
My fellow Americans, good evening. Look, I'm not going to stand here and tell you everything's going to be fine, because you're smart enough to know that's not the conversation we're having right now. What I can tell you is this. We have a plan. We've had a plan for a long time. And tonight, I'm going to explain it to you. Over the past 5 weeks, you've watched the rain. You've listened to scientists explain the Wrangellia large igneous province. You've heard terms like the Carnian pluvial episode. And maybe, like me, when I first heard these briefings, you thought, this sounds like science fiction. I wish it were. What we're facing is a geological event that hasn't occurred in 230 million years. The mechanism is clear. Massive volcanic outgassing from the Pacific seafloor is destabilizing our atmosphere. The rain is not going to stop. Not next week, not next month. Not, if I'm being honest with you, in our lifetime. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. How long has the government known about this? Let me be clear. Scientists have been monitoring the Wrangellia formation for decades. In 2009, research indicated the possibility of renewed thermal activity. That same year, we activated a continuity program that had been in development since the 1980s. It's called NOAH, the National Office of Advanced Habitation. Some of you saw that name leak on a news graphic last week. Well, now you know what it is. NOAH is the coordinating body for what we're about to undertake. And here's where I need your attention. For the past 15 years, while NOAH was monitoring the data, we were also building something. High elevation resource facilities designed to sustain human life above the flood zones. We call them ARK sites, or ARKs, Altitude Resource Key Stations. Now, I know what you're thinking. Government-built ARKs? Look, when the science team first briefed me on this, I said the exact same thing. But these aren't boats. They're communities, self-sustaining facilities at elevation with infrastructure, water treatment, agriculture, medical care. Think of it like, if you've seen The Martian, how Matt Damon had to science his way into survival. That's what we built, except with more people and fewer potatoes. These sites are opening to the public in coordinated intake waves starting tonight. 6 locations are now operational. Key Station 1, White Mountains, New Hampshire. Key Station 2, Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado. Key Station 3, Mount Mitchell, North Carolina. Key Station 4, Sierra Nevada Range, California. Key Station 5, Cascade Range, Washington. Key Station 6, Appalachian Highlands, Tennessee. Each site can support thousands of people. Intake is being coordinated through FEMA and state emergency management. And here's something that matters to me personally. We're not just preserving human life, we're preserving life, period. The ARK sites include what we're calling the Biotic Continuity Program. We're bringing dogs, horses, goats, cattle, working animals that humanity has depended on for thousands of years. And we're bringing carefully selected wildlife species, animals that can survive and reproduce at high elevation. Because when my granddaughter asks me someday what we did to save the world we knew, I want to tell her we saved more than just ourselves. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. This is not a perfect plan. Coordinating something this massive is like trying to organize the crew from Ocean's 11, except instead of 11 people, it's every federal agency, 50 state governments, and millions of civilians. There will be delays. There will be challenges. There will be mistakes. But here's what I know about Americans. When things get hard, we don't give up. We adapt. We help each other. We find a way. That's who we are. That's who we've always been. So tonight, if you're in a mandatory evacuation zone, follow the instructions from local emergency management. If you're trying to reach an ARC site, monitor FEMA coordination channels for intake schedules. If you have family or friends in affected areas, check on them, help them if you can. And to everyone listening here and around the world, because I know this isn't just an American crisis, we're going to get through this. Not unchanged, not unscathed, but we will endure. Humanity has survived ice ages, pandemics, wars. We'll survive this too. My grandfather used to tell me, when the storm comes, you don't fight the wind. You find shelter. You wait it out. And when it passes, you rebuild. That's what we're doing now, finding shelter, waiting it out. And someday, when the rain stops, we'll rebuild. God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless the United States of America. Good night.
President Thomas Hiller, speaking from the White House. The first public acknowledgement of the NOAH division and the ARC project will have continuing coverage throughout the night. Good evening. 6 weeks of continuous rainfall have caused catastrophic flooding across the United States and around the world. Coastal regions on 3 continents are experiencing unprecedented water levels. Major cities including New York, Miami, Houston, Los Angeles, London, Tokyo, and Jakarta are reporting extensive inundation. Millions of people have been displaced. Infrastructure failures are widespread. Power grids in low-lying areas are experiencing rolling outages. Transportation networks are severely disrupted. Supply chains for food and medical supplies are under strain. Emergency services in multiple regions are operating beyond capacity. 6 weeks ago, we reported on routine seismic monitoring data from the Pacific seafloor. A sulfur smell at a Seattle dock, unusual mercury levels in fish, a waterlogged baseball field in Miami. I read those stories on this broadcast. I moved on to sports. I should have asked more questions. Tonight, Dr. Adrian Dreyer returns to help us understand what all of those pieces meant. Dr. Dreyer, 4 international research teams have now confirmed the Carnian pluvial episode analog. What does that confirmation tell us?
It tells us this is not regional, it's not temporary, and it is not reversible on any human timescale. The Wrangellia large igneous province is releasing greenhouse gases at a rate that exceeds anything in the modern geological record. This is driving atmospheric heating and creating what we call the white sky effect, dense continuous cloud cover that blocks solar radiation from reaching the surface. Once the white sky effect establishes itself, the hydrological system enters a permanent positive feedback loop. Rain produces clouds. Clouds block sunlight. Without sunlight, there's no natural interruption to the evaporation cycle. More rain, more clouds, the system sustains itself.
How long do these events typically last?
The original Wrangellia eruption sequence lasted approximately 2 million years.
2 million years.
Modern conditions differ from the Triassic. Different ocean chemistry, different continental positions, different baseline atmospheric composition. The modern analog may run shorter, but we're still talking about decades at minimum, more likely centuries.
Dr. Dreyer, I need to ask you about casualties. What are the projections?
Without mass evacuation to elevations above 3,000 feet, global projections approach billions of deaths within 18 to 24 months.
Billions. Dr. Dreyer, thank you for your time and for your honesty. I know that was not easy. The federal government issued a second directive this afternoon. All population centers below 3,000 feet elevation are now advised to begin immediate relocation to designated ARC coordination zones. 7 ARC key station locations have been established at high elevation sites across the country. Coordinates and intake information are available through FEMA's emergency hotline and at fema.gov. A previously undisclosed 7th site in the Wind River Range of Wyoming was added to the public list this afternoon. The White House has not explained why that location was initially withheld from the president's address last week. Laura Helmsley has relocated to an elevated position and is now reporting from Interstate 90 in Montana. Laura, what are conditions there?
Jack, the highway is at a standstill. I'm looking at both lanes of westbound traffic. Neither is moving. People have been sitting here for hours. Some have run out of fuel. Others have abandoned their vehicles and started walking. It's been raining without interruption for 6 weeks. The pavement is slick. Visibility is poor. I can see headlights stretching into the distance, but I cannot see where they end. A family just walked past our position. They were carrying what they could. 2 adults, 3 children. The youngest couldn't have been more than 5. They're heading west on foot. Laura Helmsley, Interstate 90.
That's our broadcast for Tuesday, November 19th. To everyone watching tonight, if you're in a low-lying area, please take the warning seriously. If you're moving to higher ground, go safely. If you're helping someone else get there, thank you. I'm Jack Anheuser. Good night, and may God be with all of you.
The following is a national emergency message issued by the Department of Homeland Security. This is not a test. A nationwide atmospheric emergency has been declared effective immediately. All population centers below 3,300 feet elevation are hereby advised to relocate to designated ARC coordination zones without delay. Current casualty projections for populations remaining in zones below 3,300 feet approach 3.2 billion individuals globally within 18 to 24 months. Evacuation to high elevation facilities is critical for survival. ARC key station intake is coordinated through FEMA regional offices. Priority admission criteria include medical personnel, agricultural specialists, civil engineers, and skilled trades professionals. General intake continues on a space available basis. Transportation assistance to ARC facilities is available through military coordination on a limited basis. Residents are advised to monitor local emergency management frequencies for updated intake schedules and route information. This message will be repeated at 30-minute intervals. Additional updates will be broadcast as conditions develop. This concludes this emergency alert system message.
This is Channel 7 News, Tuesday, December 3rd. I'm Jack Anheuser, and I need to be honest with you about what we're seeing. The building we're broadcasting from has water on the 5th floor. We moved our equipment up here 3 days ago. The lobby is completely submerged. We are running on generator power, and we don't know how much longer we can stay here. 9 weeks of continuous rain have caused a global humanitarian catastrophe. Confirmed deaths now exceed 500 million people. Missing and unaccounted for are estimated in the billions. That's not a projection. That's what's already happened. Major coastal cities are no longer transmitting. New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Houston. We've lost contact with Tokyo, London, Amsterdam, Mumbai, Jakarta. Shanghai went dark 48 hours ago. Entire nations are communication dark. Bangladesh, the Netherlands, the Maldives, Kiribati. We believe most of their populations have perished. We have no way to confirm. Global power grids are failing. Transportation networks have ceased functioning. Food supply chains no longer exist. The infrastructure that sustained 8 billion people is gone, and it's not coming back. Laura Helmsley is reporting from a refugee coordination center near Denver. The facility is at 7,200 feet elevation. Laura, what are you seeing there?
Jack, I'm standing outside what used to be a high school gymnasium. There are thousands of people here, maybe tens of thousands. The facility was designed for 200. It's holding at least 5,000 now, and more arrive every hour. People are sleeping in hallways, in parking lots, under tarps in the rain. Medical supplies ran out days ago. Food is being rationed to 1 meal per day. I watched a mother try to explain to her children why they can't have dinner tonight. Disease is spreading. Respiratory infections, dysentery, pneumonia. There are 4 doctors for 5,000 people. They're doing what they can. It's not enough. I spoke with a coordinator from FEMA this afternoon. She told me they've stopped trying to track evacuees. The numbers are too large. The systems are overwhelmed. They're in triage mode, prioritizing survival over documentation. The ARC key stations are sealed. Official intake stopped 3 days ago, but people are still trying to get there. I heard someone say Key Station 7 in Wyoming might still be taking people unofficially. I don't know if that's true, but desperate people are heading that way anyway. Laura Helmsley, Denver.
The National Weather Service issued its final global assessment this morning. The white sky effect is now permanent. We have not seen direct sunlight in 21 days. Ocean surface temperatures continue to rise. Thermal expansion is accelerating coastal surge worldwide. Sea levels have risen approximately 40 feet globally. Areas below 1,500 feet elevation are experiencing persistent flooding. Areas below 1,000 feet are largely uninhabitable. Most of the world's population live below 1,000 feet. The president has not made a public address in 6 days. The White House Communications Office confirmed this morning that continuity of government protocols are in effect. We do not know where the president is. We do not know if federal command structure still exists. I want to read you something. This morning, I received messages from 3 broadcast stations. All 3 are shutting down operations. Como in Seattle said, quote, "Water has reached our broadcast facility. We are evacuating to higher ground. To everyone who trusted us to keep you informed, we're sorry we couldn't do more." KGO in San Francisco said, quote, "Our staff has been ordered to evacuate. Most of the Bay Area is underwater. This is our final transmission. May God be with you all." And WPLG in Miami said, quote, "There's no one left to broadcast to. Miami is gone. If you're hearing this, you're one of the lucky ones. Don't forget us." We won't forget. I promise you, we won't forget. That's the broadcast for Tuesday, December 3rd. I'm Jack Anheuser. To everyone still listening, I don't know what to tell you except this. We're still here. We're still broadcasting. And as long as we can, we'll keep trying to reach you.
This is Isaiah, and you're listening to the Watchtower. Day 53. Everything God showed me has come to pass. The Lord revealed to me that billions would die, that the waters would swallow the cities of the coast, that only those who fled to the mountains would survive. And now the automated broadcasts are confirming it. Billions dead, billions missing, just as he showed me. I warned you on day 7. I told you what was coming. I begged you to believe. Some of you listened to God's message through me. You are alive. Most of you called me insane. You mocked the prophecy. Where are you now? God does not give visions to the proud. He does not speak to those who trust in governments and institutions. He speaks to the humble, to those who will listen, to those who will warn others. I was chosen for this, not because I am righteous, but because I was willing to believe. The rain has not stopped for 53 days. It will not stop. God showed me months of rain, perhaps years. This is not a storm. This is judgment. This is purification. And only the faithful will see what comes after. This is the Watchtower. This is Isaiah. The prophecy continues to unfold, and I will continue to speak what the Lord shows me. Listen, or be swept away.
Do you understand what's happening? Do you understand? They're not just flooding the earth. They're recreating Genesis. They're building arks. They're choosing who gets saved and who drowns. The New World Order is literally playing God, and they think you're too stupid to see it. Genesis chapter 6. God said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth. And he told Noah to build an ark and save the animals, 2 by 2, male and female. And now, these demonic forces are doing the exact same thing. 7 ark key stations, high in the mountains, saving animals, dogs, horses, goats, snow leopards, condors. They built a biotic continuity program to preserve the species, just like Noah, except Noah was following God's command. These people are following demons. They're choosing who lives and who dies. Skills verification, medical personnel, engineers, agricultural specialists. They made lists. They had names on file since 2009. They decided 15 years ago who was worthy of salvation. Who gave them that authority? Only God decides who lives and dies. Only God chooses the remnant. But these satanic globalists think they're God. They engineered the flood with their weather machines. They built their arks in secret. They selected their chosen people. And now they're watching billions drown while they sit in their mountain fortresses like kings. Revelation chapter 13. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 7 ark key stations. You think that's a coincidence? The beast that rises from the waters, the New World Order rising while everyone else drowns. And who's leading the sheep to slaughter? Prophet Isaiah. Oh yes, your beloved prophet Isaiah with his Watchtower podcast, telling you God showed him visions, telling you to believe and be saved. He's a false prophet. Revelation chapter 13, verse 11. Another beast coming up out of the earth, having 2 horns like a lamb, but speaking like a dragon. Isaiah sounds like a prophet. He sounds like a lamb, but he's speaking the dragon's words. He's conditioning you to accept this, to believe the rain is God's judgment, to trust the ark program. He's a government plant, a psychological weapon, and everyone who followed him is walking straight into the beast system. These demonic globalists are mocking God. They're recreating the flood. They're building arks. They're saving the animals. They're choosing the remnant. They're doing everything God did in Genesis, but they're doing it for evil. They're trying to prove they don't need God, that they can be God. And Revelation chapter 17 tells us exactly what happens to Babylon. The great whore that sits upon many waters, the kings of the earth who committed fornication with her, they think they're building a new world. But God says, Babylon is fallen, and the beast will be cast into the lake of fire. Don't trust Isaiah. Don't trust the ARC program. Don't trust any of it. This is spiritual warfare. This is demonic. This is the beast system rising. And the only way to survive is to reject their false salvation and trust in the real God, the one who made the covenant, the one who put the rainbow in the sky, not these satanic pretenders. This is Emmett Karpov. I know they're going to shut me down. I know they're coming for everyone who speaks the truth, but I will not bow to the beast. I will not take the mark. I will not accept their false salvation, and neither should you. Stay vigilant. Trust God, not the New World Order.
This is Channel 7 News, Tuesday, December 17th. I'm Jack Anheuser, and I don't know if anyone is receiving this broadcast. We're broadcasting on emergency battery power. The generator failed yesterday. The ground floor of this building is completely underwater. Most of our staff evacuated 3 days ago. I'm one of 2 people still here, and I'm transmitting because, well, because someone should. 11 weeks of continuous rain. Global confirmed dead now exceed 1.5 billion people. Missing and unaccounted for, another 4 billion. If you're doing the math, that's more than 2/3 of everyone who was alive 11 weeks ago, gone. We have not received communication from any major population center below 2,000 feet in 4 days. Not one. No broadcasts, no emergency signals, no transmissions of any kind. The world has gone silent. All 7 ARC key stations are sealed. Official intake suspended. Capacity reached. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Hazard Division, which spent 15 years planning for this, has ceased public communications. We believe they're operating from the key stations now. We believe they're the only functioning government left. The white sky effect persists. We have not seen the sun in 28 days. Not a glimpse, not a shadow, just gray, endless gray, and rain. I received a message this morning from Laura Helmsley. She's safe. She made it to an elevated shelter. 1,800 feet, 40 people with her. She said to tell anyone listening that they're okay, that they're going to keep trying. I'm grateful she made it. I'm grateful someone did. Before we lose power completely, I want to read you some messages. People sent these to the station over the past 2 weeks. Some of them I've been holding because I didn't know what to say, but I think tonight I should read them. This one is from a woman in Portland, Oregon. She writes, "My mother is 86. She watches your broadcast every night because she says as long as Jack Anheuser is on the air, things must be okay. I know things aren't okay, but thank you for being there. It helps her sleep." This one is from a father in Houston. He writes, "I made it to higher ground with my daughter. She's 5 years old. Every night she asks me when we can go home. I don't know what to tell her." And this one is from a teacher in Miami. She writes, "I stayed behind to help evacuate my students. I got 23 of them out. 12 didn't make it. If their families are listening, tell them I tried. Tell them their children were brave. Tell them I'm sorry I couldn't save them all." To the woman in Portland, to the father in Houston, to the teacher in Miami, I hope you made it. I hope you're safe. And to everyone who trusted us to tell you what was happening, thank you. We tried to do right by you. I hope we did. This station will be suspending broadcast operations after tonight. We no longer have the power or personnel to continue. Emergency communications will transfer to automated alert systems and ham radio networks. If you need information, that's where you'll find it now. 11 weeks ago, civilization was something we assumed would continue. Monday followed Sunday. Winter followed fall. The future was a given, and then it wasn't. Somewhere out there, people are still alive, still helping each other, still trying. Laura's in a shelter with 40 people. The ARC key stations hold thousands. High elevation communities are forming. Humanity didn't end. It changed. This is Channel 7 News, Tuesday, December 17th. I'm Jack Anheuser. Good night. And to whoever is still out there, take care of each other.
This is Isaiah, and you're listening to the Watchtower. Day 71. The Lord continues to reveal his plan. Everything I prophesied on day 7 has come to pass. The rain that would not stop, the cities swallowed by water, the billions who would not listen. God showed me all of it, and all of it has happened. When a prophet's words come true, you know he speaks for the Lord. Last night, God led me to turn on the radio. And I heard voices, survivors, people calling to each other from the mountains. One of them was reading names of the dead, bearing witness, recording what has been lost. The Lord showed me that we are not alone, that others heard his warning, that the faithful are scattered across the high places. God has preserved a remnant. Not everyone, most perished, but those who believed, those who acted on faith, those who fled when he commanded. They remain, and through them, his purpose will continue. 71 days of rain. The old world is gone. What remains is what the Lord has chosen to preserve. This is not the end. This is the beginning of what comes next. And he will show us the way forward. This is the Watchtower. This is Isaiah. The prophecy unfolds. The faithful endure. And God's will be done.
Brothers and sisters, this is Pastor Julius Furlong broadcasting on emergency radio frequency. The water is in the sanctuary. It's rising. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to transmit, but while I can still speak, I need to speak truth. We are living in the end times. I know some of you don't want to hear that. I know it's frightening, but Revelation chapter 6, verse 12, And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair. Have we not seen the sun in a month? Have we not witnessed the black sky? Revelation chapter 8. The second angel sounded, and as it were a great mountain burning with fire was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. A volcano under the ocean, gases released into the water, the prophecy you unfolding before our eyes. But I need to talk to you about something that's been weighing on my spirit. There's a man out there, calls himself a prophet, broadcasting on something called the Watchtower. His name is Isaiah, and he claims God showed him visions of this flood. Now listen to me carefully. Matthew chapter 7, verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. How do we know a true prophet from a false one? We test their fruit. We test their spirit. This man Isaiah, he tells people they're saved by faith in his prophecy. He says those who believed him are alive. Those who didn't are dead. But brothers and sisters, that's not the gospel. We are not saved by believing a prophet. We are saved by believing in Jesus Christ. 1 John chapter 4, verse 1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. I'm not saying this man is lying about the rain. He might have seen something true, but is his message from God? Does he point you to Jesus? Or does he point you to himself? These are the end times. But the end times are not about punishment. They're about redemption. Revelation chapter 21, verse 4. And God shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. If you're hearing this, if you're still alive, I want you to know something. This flood is not proof that God abandoned us. This flood is not proof that God lied about his covenant. This is the world breaking under the weight of its own sin. But God is still here. God is still with us, and he's calling you home. Romans chapter 10, verse 9. If thou shalt confess with thy mouth the Lord Jesus, and shalt believe in thine heart that God hath raised him from the dead, thou shalt be saved, not because you believed the prophet, not because you made it to high ground, not because you had the right skills for an ARC program, but because you believe in Jesus. If you're alone right now, if you're scared, if you think you won't make it through the night, call on his name right now. Don't wait. Jesus, save me. Jesus, I believe. Jesus, I'm yours. He will hear you. He will answer. And when you take your last breath in this world, you will take your first breath in the next. The water is almost here. I can hear it below me, rising, but I'm not afraid. You know why? Because I know who holds me. I know who keeps me. And I know where I'm going. Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I would dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen. 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 Amen.
My name is Thomas Brennan. I'm broadcasting from a ranger station in the Bitterroot Range, Montana. Elevation 8,200 feet. There are 19 of us here, and I wanted to tell you how we got here, in case anyone's listening. I was a high school history teacher in Missoula, taught American history for 23 years, Constitution, Civil War, World War II. I used to tell my students that history was about understanding how ordinary people responded to extraordinary circumstances. Never thought I'd be living it. When the mandatory evacuation order came, most people headed for the designated staging areas. But I had this ranger station in mind. I used to hike up here every summer, knew it was high enough, knew it had a wood stove and a creek nearby. So I loaded up my truck with what I could carry and started driving. The roads were chaos. Everyone trying to get out at once, cars abandoned on the shoulders, people walking with whatever they could carry. I picked up a family about 10 miles outside town. Mother, father, 2 kids. They'd been walking for 6 hours. Their car ran out of gas. No stations were open. We made it about 30 miles before we hit the roadblock. Trees down across the highway, flooding had washed out the culvert. That's when we had to abandon the truck. Everything I'd packed, clothes, food, supplies, we had to leave most of it. You can only carry so much when you're climbing. The hike to the ranger station is normally about 8 miles. It took us 2 days. We had to stop every hour because of the children. The youngest was 6. She kept asking her mother when they could go home. Her mother just kept saying, "Soon, sweetheart, soon." We weren't the only ones with that idea. When we got here, there were already 11 people, a couple from Spokane, 3 college students from the university, a retired couple who'd been camping when the order came, and a man traveling alone who never told us his name. He stayed for 3 days and then left, said he was heading higher. We haven't seen him since. The ranger station wasn't designed for this many people. It's maybe 600 square feet. 1 room, no electricity, no running water. We sleep in shifts, 4 hours on the floor, 4 hours sitting up so someone else can lie down. Nobody complains. We've organized ourselves the way people do. Everybody has a job. The college students filter water from the creek. The couple from Spokane manages our food supply. I teach the children during the day, not formal lessons, just stories, math problems, geography, anything to keep their minds occupied. The rain never stops. We haven't seen the sun in over a month. We have to ration firewood because we don't know how long we'll need it. Everything we own is damp. Your clothes, your blankets, your skin. You forget what it feels like to be dry. Last week, we heard a transmission on the emergency radio. Someone broadcasting from Wyoming said there are others like us, small groups scattered across the high country. That helped, knowing we're not alone. I think about my students sometimes. Wonder how many of them made it. I taught them about Jamestown and Plymouth and all the other times people had to start over with nothing. Never imagined I'd be doing the same thing. But here we are, 19 people, 1 room, starting over. If you're out there listening and you're still trying to get to higher ground, keep going. It's worth it. And if you're already somewhere safe, take care of each other. That's all we can do now. Take care of each other. This is Thomas Brennan, Bitterroot Range. We're still here.
fellow Americans. Look, I know you weren't expecting to hear from me again. I know most of the infrastructure we used to rely on is gone. I know the coordinated federal response we promised you has, in many places, broken down. But I wanted to speak to you one more time, not as your president giving you orders, as a human being who's going through this with you. It's been 11 weeks. 11 weeks since the rain started. 11 weeks since we first heard the phrase Carnian pluvial episode. And I'm not going to lie to you, the numbers they're almost impossible to comprehend. Tens of millions confirmed dead, hundreds of millions unaccounted for. And every model we have says this is going to get worse before it gets better. Now, some of you are in ARC key stations right now. You made it. You're safe. You have shelter, food, community. Some of you are on high ground you found on your own, 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet, wherever you could get to. And some of you, I know some of you are still moving, still trying to reach safety, still refusing to give up. There's a line from Shawshank Redemption. Andy Dufresne says, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. And I've been thinking about that a lot lately, because hope is what we have left. Not hope that this will end tomorrow, not hope that everything will go back to normal, but hope that humanity, in some form, will endure. I want to talk about the ARC key stations. All 7 sites are sealed now. Official intake is suspended. But I need you to understand something. Those sites were never designed to save everyone. They were designed to save enough genetic diversity, enough skills, enough knowledge to rebuild when the time comes. And I know that's cold. I know that sounds like we chose who gets to live and who doesn't. And you know what? We did. NOAA Division made those calculations 15 years ago. They built the lists. They prioritized skills over everything else. Was it fair? No. Was it necessary? I believe it was. But I also believe it wasn't enough, because humanity doesn't survive just because we save the engineers and the doctors and the farmers. Humanity survives because we refuse to give up, because we help each other, because we find a way even when there is no way. That's in every survival movie you've ever seen. Apollo 13, Castaway, The Martian. The hero doesn't survive because they had the perfect plan. They survived because they adapted, they improvised, they kept going. So here's what I need you to do. If you're in a key station, help the people around you. Share your skills. Teach what you know. Build something that lasts. If you're on high ground on your own, find each other. Form communities. Pool your resources. Take care of each other. And if you're still moving, still trying to reach safety, don't stop. There's another line I keep thinking about from Rocky Balboa. It ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. We've been hit harder than any generation in human history, but we're still here. We're still moving forward. I don't know when I'll be able to address you again. The satellite networks are degrading. Power grids are failing. This might be the last time you hear my voice. But I want you to know this. I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe that 1,000 years from now, somebody's going to tell the story of how humanity survived the long rain. And they're going to tell it because we refuse to be the generation that gave up. My grandfather used to tell me the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Well, we're in the dark right now, no question about that. But dawn is coming. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not in our lifetimes, but it's coming. And when it does, we're going to be there to see it. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless everyone who didn't make it this far. And God bless the human race. We are still here. Good night.
Good evening. This is Dr. Marcus Webb, transmitting from the Mauna Kea Observatory, Hawaii. Elevation, 13,796 feet. I am alone, and I have a rather unusual story to tell. I'm an astronomer by training. Spent 30 years studying distant stars and the composition of planetary atmospheres. The irony is not lost on me that I now find myself trapped beneath an atmosphere I can no longer observe. The white sky effect, as they call it, has rendered my life's work rather obsolete. I was conducting research when the evacuation orders reached the island. Most of my colleagues descended immediately, chartered flights to the mainland, boats to anywhere that might be safer. But I calculated the mathematics, sea level rise projections, thermal expansion rates. I knew that Mauna Kea, being the tallest mountain in the Pacific, would remain above the waterline longer than almost anywhere else. So I stayed, stocked the observatory with supplies, food, water purification tablets, medical equipment, books. I brought quite a lot of books. When you're preparing to be stranded on a mountain for an indefinite period, literature becomes rather important. For the first 2 weeks, I had company. 7 people made the climb from lower elevations. A family of 4, 2 graduate students, a hotel worker from Hilo. We shared the space, shared our resources, created a small civilization in the clouds. But the altitude is punishing. 13,000 feet means thin air, headaches, nausea, constant fatigue. The hotel worker developed pulmonary edema on day 9. We did what we could. It wasn't enough. The others left 3 days later, descended to find somewhere lower where they could breathe. I haven't heard from them since. Now it's just me. And I've made my peace with that. Solitude has always suited me. I spend my days maintaining the equipment, though there's nothing left to observe through the telescopes. Just clouds, endless clouds, gray upon gray upon gray. From this elevation, I can see what's become of the island. On clear days, which are exceedingly rare, I can make out the coastline, or rather, where the coastline used to be. The ocean has consumed everything below 6,000 feet. Hilo is gone, Kona is gone, the resorts, the beaches, the cities, all submerged. I think about the Carnian pluvial episode often. 234 million years ago, the original event. They say it lasted 2 million years. I find myself wondering what it must have been like for the organisms that survived, clinging to high ground while the world transformed around them. And now here I am, living through a geological repeat, a footnote in deep time. My supplies will last approximately 4 more months. After that, well, we shall see. I'm documenting everything. Scientific observations, weather patterns, ocean level measurements. I'm leaving a record for whoever might find it, assuming anyone does. There's a certain poetry to it, isn't there? An astronomer stranded on a mountaintop, unable to see the stars, surrounded by an ocean that's drowning the world. I spent my life looking up, trying to understand the universe. And in the end, it was the planet beneath my feet that held the real mystery. If you're receiving this transmission, I hope you're somewhere safe, somewhere high and dry. And I hope you're not alone. Solitude is bearable when it's chosen, less so when it's imposed. This is Dr. Marcus Webb, Mauna Kea Observatory. Still watching, still waiting, still here.
This is Charlie Dalton, and you're listening to a very unusual episode. I'm recording this from inside Key Station 4, Sierra Nevada Range, California. Elevation, 11,800 feet, and I'm speaking with someone who helped design this place. Richard Blaine was a systems engineer for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Hazard Division. He's been inside this facility for 13 months, and he's agreed to tell us what life is like inside an ark. Richard, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Charlie. I've listened to your show for years, never imagined I'd be on it under these circumstances,
Let's start with the basics. How many people are in Key Station 4 right now?
1,247 humans, plus approximately 300 animals across 42 species as part of the biotic continuity program. We designed the facility for 1,200, so we're slightly over capacity, but manageable.
When you say designed, you mean you knew this was coming. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Hazard Division has been planning these facilities since 2009. That's 15 years before the rain started.
Yes. We detected the preliminary seismic signatures from Wrangellia in late 2008. By early 2009, geological models confirmed the probability of a Carnian-scale event within 15 to 20 years. The ARC program was authorized that spring. Construction began in 2010.
And during those 15 years, nobody told the public.
That decision was made above my level. The reasoning, as I understood it, was that announcing a civilization-ending event 15 years in advance would cause immediate global collapse, panic, war, resource depletion. The calculation was that more people would die from the announcement than from the event itself if we used those 15 years to prepare quietly.
Do you believe that?
I don't know anymore. I believed it at the time. I helped build these facilities because I thought we were saving humanity. And we did save some, 1,200 here. Similar numbers at the other 6 key stations, maybe 8,000 people total across all 7 sites.
Out of 8 billion?
Yes.
How were those 1,200 people selected?
Skills matrix, medical personnel, engineers, agricultural specialists, educators, geneticists. We needed genetic diversity and skill diversity sufficient to reconstitute a viable population. Every person here was selected for what they could contribute to long-term survival.
When were they selected? When did you make the lists?
Initial candidate pools were assembled between 2009 and 2012. Final selections were made in 2018, 6 years before the rain. Those people didn't know they'd been selected. We tracked their movements, updated their files. When the event began, they were contacted and offered admission.
And if they said no?
We moved to the next person on the list. About 11% declined admission. Religious reasons, unwillingness to leave family members who didn't qualify. One woman told me she'd rather die with her community than survive without them.
What about the biotic continuity program? The animals, how were they selected?
Same principle. Species capable of surviving and reproducing at elevations above 6,000 feet. Genetic viability, ecological utility. We have horses, goats, dogs, chickens, cattle, snow leopards, condors, bighorn sheep. Each species represents a founding population of 8 to 12 individuals.
Do you have any contact with survivors outside the key stations?
We monitor radio frequencies. We're aware of scattered survivor groups across the high country. Estimates suggest maybe 10 to 20,000 people survived outside the ARC program. They're on their own. We don't have resources to assist them.
What's the long-term plan? What happens next?
We wait. Current models suggest the white sky effect will persist for a minimum of 50 years, possibly longer. During that time, we maintain the facility, we educate the next generation, we preserve knowledge, we keep the animals alive and breeding, and when the rain stops, if it stops, we descend and see what's left.
50 years?
Minimum. We're prepared for a century if necessary, possibly 2. The original Carnian pluvial episode lasted 2 million years. We're hoping the modern analog runs shorter, but we don't know.
Richard Blaine, thank you for speaking with me and for being honest about all of this.
Thank you, Charlie. I hope someone out there is listening. I hope they understand we did what we thought was right, even if it wasn't enough.
This has been a special episode, recorded inside Key Station 4, Sierra Nevada Range, 13 months after the rain began. To everyone still out there, keep going. We're still here.
This is Isaiah, and you're listening to the Watchtower. Day 91. The Lord has shown me the final revelation, and it is good. On the seventh day, God gave me a vision of destruction. Rain that would not cease, waters that would swallow the world, billions who would perish. And I spoke his warning. Everything he showed me came to pass. Every word I prophesied proved true. The Lord does not speak lies through his prophets. But yesterday, the Lord gave me a new vision. He showed me that the destruction is not the end. He showed me what comes after. And he confirmed it through a child. A girl here in the shelter dreamed of a foal being born, a baby horse far away in the mountains. She saw it clearly, and when she told me, I knew God had given her the same vision he gave me. The Lord is not only destroying, he is also creating. He is preserving. He is preparing the world that comes after the flood. Animals are being born in the high places. The faithful are gathering, and from the remnant he has saved, a new world will emerge. To those who believed my prophecy, who heeded God's warning through me, who climbed to safety when he commanded, you were saved by faith. You survived because you believed. Remember that. Tell your children. Tell them that the Lord speaks through prophets, and those who listen will be preserved. This is the Watchtower. This is Isaiah. The prophecy is complete. The destruction has come. The remnant remains. And God's plan, from beginning to end, has been fulfilled. This is my final transmission. May the Lord preserve you all.
This is Emmett Karpov. I'm recording this on a device that's almost out of power, in a room that's almost out of time. The water is 3 feet from the door, and I wanted to say something before it gets here, before I'm gone. I was right about all of it. The weather machines, the New World Order, the depopulation agenda, the arcs they built in secret while telling everyone it was natural. I was right, and it didn't matter. They won. The demons, the globalists, the servants of darkness playing God. They flooded the earth. They chose who lived and who died. They remade Genesis in their own image. And most of humanity is gone now, just like they planned. I told people, I screamed it, I showed them the evidence. Operation Deluge, the Great Reset, Prophet Isaiah conditioning you to accept it. And some of you listen, maybe a few thousand, out of 8 billion. Isaiah's still broadcasting. Did you know that? Day 91, still telling people they were saved by faith in his prophecy, still pointing them to himself instead of God, still serving the beast system. And people believe him because he was right about the rain, just like I was right about the conspiracy. We were both right, him and me, two prophets on opposite sides. He said God showed him this was coming. I said demons engineered it. Maybe we were both telling the truth. Maybe God allowed it. Maybe demons executed it. Maybe it doesn't matter anymore. I'm alone. I didn't make it to high ground. I stayed too long, kept broadcasting, kept trying to wake people up, and now the water's here, and I'm out of time. The New World Order got what they wanted, 7 arcs in the mountains, 8,000 chosen people. The rest of us drowned. They're up there right now, the globalists, the technocrats, the ones who decided they were God, building their new civilization, and we can't stop them anymore. Revelation was right. The beast did rise. The false prophet did lead people astray. Babylon did fall. If anyone finds this recording, if anyone's left who cares about truth, I want you to know, I tried. I fought. I told you what they were doing. I named the enemy. I warned you about the arcs and the prophets and the demonic forces playing God. And it didn't save anyone, including me. The water's at the door. I can hear it rising. I don't have much time left, and I'm not going to spend it yelling. I'm done yelling. What's the point? No one's listening. And the ones who are, it's too late for them too. They won. The beast system, the New World Order, the demons who wanted to be God, they flooded the earth. They chose who lives and who dies. They remade creation in their own image. They sit in their mountain fortresses and call themselves saviors. They think they've conquered the world. But God is watching, and his army is coming. They won the battle, but the war isn't over. Revelation says the beast rises, and Revelation says the beast falls. They got their flood. They got their arks. They got their chosen remnant. But judgment is still coming, and when it does, their mountains won't save them. This is Emmett Karpov. The water's here, and I'm done. May God have mercy on all of us, because they didn't.
My name is Norman Silberman. I'm recording this for my grandchildren, Emma, Michael, and Sarah. You've asked me to tell you what the world was like before the rain, and I've been thinking about how to answer that question. Because the world I knew, the world your parents barely remember, is gone, and you deserve to know what we lost. I was a geologist. I spent 50 years studying the Earth, mountains, rivers, continental drift, the slow forces that shape continents over millions of years. I thought I understood how the planet worked. And then in late 2008, I received seismic data from the Pacific seafloor that changed everything. The Wrangellia large igneous province was reactivating. A volcanic system the size of Alaska, buried under the ocean, waking up after 200 million years. I knew what that meant. I'd studied the Carnian pluvial episode, the original event, 2 million years of rain, that reshaped the planet and killed most of the life on Earth. In early 2009, I was contacted by a government agency I'd never heard of, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Hazard Division. They asked me to consult on emergency preparedness scenarios. That's when I learned they'd known for months. That's when I learned they were building the arcs. And that's when they asked me to stay silent. I stayed silent for 15 years. I watched them build key stations in the mountains. I watched them select who would be saved. I watched them track seismic activity, and ocean temperatures, and atmospheric composition. And I said nothing, because they convinced me that saying something would make it worse. That panic would kill more people than preparation. When the rain began in October 2024, I couldn't stay silent anymore. I called a news station, Channel 7, a reporter named Laura Helmsley. I told her what was coming. I told her about Wrangellia and the Carnian analog, and the fact that this wasn't going to stop. It was the first time I'd told anyone outside the program, and it was far too late. I want you to understand something about guilt, about carrying knowledge that could have saved people and choosing not to share it. I believed I was doing the right thing. I believed the experts who said silence was mercy, and I will spend the rest of my life wondering if I was wrong. But that's not what you asked me about. You asked me what the world was like. So let me tell you, the sky was blue, not gray, not white, blue. And at night, you could see stars, thousands of them. The Milky Way stretched across the darkness like a river of light. Your grandmother and I used to drive out to the desert just to look up, to see the galaxy we were part of. There were seasons. Spring brought warmth and flowers. Summer was hot and bright. Autumn turned the leaves gold and red. Winter brought snow in the mountains and frost in the mornings. The temperature changed. The light changed. The earth turned toward the sun and away from it. And we felt that rhythm in our bodies. There were cities by the ocean, New York, San Francisco, Tokyo, London. Millions of people living at sea level, walking along beaches, watching waves break against the shore. The ocean was beautiful, terrifying and beautiful. Now it's just terrifying. And most of those cities are 200 feet underwater. There were 8 billion people. 8 billion. Different languages, different cultures, different ways of understanding the world. Your grandfather came from a family that had lived in the same valley for 300 years. Your grandmother's ancestors crossed an ocean to find a new home. All of that history, All of those stories, most of them are gone now. We had forests that stretched for thousands of miles, grasslands, deserts, ice caps at both poles, rivers that ran clear and cold from the mountains to the sea, animals you've only seen in the biotic continuity program, elephants, whales, tigers. Most of them didn't survive. Most of the biomass of Earth is gone. But here's what I need you to understand. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. Life has survived 5 mass extinction events. This is the 6th, but it's not the end. The Carnian pluvial episode reshaped the planet, but when it ended, life exploded back. New species, new ecosystems. The dinosaurs rose during the recovery period. The rain will stop. Maybe not in my lifetime, maybe not in yours, but geological time is patient. The white sky effect cannot sustain itself forever. Ocean temperatures will stabilize. Atmospheric composition will rebalance. The clouds will break. And when they do, your children or your grandchildren will see the sun again. I want you to build something better than what we had. We built cities in flood zones and acted surprised when they flooded. We ignored the warnings and hoped the future would be kind. You won't have that luxury. You'll inherit a world that demands respect, a world that will kill you if you don't listen to it. When the rain stops, descend carefully. Map the new coastlines. Study the new ecosystems. Learn what survived and why. Build your cities on high ground. Preserve the knowledge we've saved. Remember what we lost. And teach your children that the Earth is not something you conquer. It's something you live with. I'm 81 years old. I've lived through the end of one world and the beginning of another. I won't see what comes next, but you will. Emma, Michael, Sarah, you and the other children of the Long Reign. You're the ones who get to decide what humanity becomes now. I hope I've told you enough about what we were. The blue sky, the seasons, the cities by the sea, the 8 billion voices that are silent now. I hope you remember it. Not with sadness, but as a blueprint, as a reminder of what's possible. The rain is still falling. It's been falling for 20 years, and it will keep falling for decades more. But I've studied deep time. I've studied the patience of geology, and I know this. Winter always ends, the sun always returns, and life, stubborn and resilient, always finds a way. This is my message to you, from your grandfather, from the old world to the new. Remember what we were, learn from what we lost, and build something worthy of the Earth that will emerge when the clouds finally break. I love you, and I believe in you. This is Dr. Norman Silverman, signing off.
Join us next time as we witness the next chapter in our species' fight for survival. The end times are far from over. Until then, here is a preview of our next broadcast.
October 3rd, 2 a.m. I probably shouldn't be making this recording, but I need to document what I'm seeing here. For my own sanity, if nothing else. A specimen arrived at 1900 hours tonight. Heavily classified. The transport team wouldn't tell me where it came from, just that it's been in cold storage for a few months and was recovered from Antarctica. The documentation is, well, minimal. What I do know is this. The remains belong to a man named Ronald Jones McCready, recovered from an Antarctic research station that went dark over 40 years ago. The body's been preserved in ice this entire time, near perfect condition. My director seems, excited isn't the right word, obsessed. Maybe. Been talking about this for weeks. We're keeping it in the sub-level containment vault. Temperature set to negative 40 degrees. Standard biological hazard measures in place. Though nobody's told me what exactly we're supposed to be hazarding against. The director wants to begin testing on Monday. Cellular analysis first, then tissue samples. He says this could be, and I'm quoting here, the most significant xenobiological discovery in human history. I asked him what makes this specimen so special. He just smiled and said I'd understand soon enough. That's not exactly reassuring.